Hello, I'm Sienna and I'm going to be doing a very deep video on PTSD stemming from childhood trauma. So if you know that you might be a little bit sensitive and this topic may trigger you, please watch at another time or just don't watch it. The only reason I want to share what I'm sharing today is just so someone feels less alone, so someone feels less isolated and they feel, oh yeah, someone else gets how I'm feeling, someone else gets it. I have always felt so alone in what I went through, and I just really want someone else to think that they're not, that you're not alone. There's always someone that will understand how you feel. Trust me, there's always someone, even if you feel like you're the only person that goes through something or you're the only one that goes through it this bad, there is someone out there that's gone through the same thing. I'm just going to be going through the stages that I've kind of gone through in my life after traumatic period of time in my life. So the first stage I did go through was the physical stages, anything that was physical after, and this also includes if you haven't gone through anything physical after, like if you haven't had any repercussions and carrying on with your life, that's still technically a form of trauma where you've blocked it out and it's not now affecting you, but otherwise you probably would have some physical symptoms wherever what happened to you. The mental can happen straight after, but normally you have like a little buffer period where something's happened to you and you're just like, what is going on? Second is a block. You say, I have no link to that or a specific person or an event that doesn't affect me now to my day-to-day life. You can't process something properly if you've blocked it out of your mind, and that's not moving on. You can't move on for something when you haven't gone through like the grief and the emotion afterward. 3 is mental implication. This is different timing compared to the person. You start understanding what happened and how it affects you now. It's weird, like you're like, oh, that happened. You can start to get some like quite bad mental effects like paranoia, flashbacks, like classic PTSD symptom. It's scary, but it means that you are finally going through it and you will get through the other end. You may have your mental health decline and deteriorate a little bit or a lot. There's so much out there, it's so hard to access, believe me, but if you do have the money for private counselling, do it, because the public like NHS and CAMS and all of that take so long because it isn't needed if you really feel like you haven't gone through it or you didn't have anyone to kind of guide you through it. There are people out there that will help you guys through whatever you've been through. There is someone out there that can help you guide you through your feelings and your thoughts and kind of like coping mechanism, unique coping mechanisms to your situation. The 4th stage I've put is denial. You feel like if it's been a certain amount of time, you're separate from the event. Obviously this can have the opposite effect where you feel like it consumes you, but for me it was more of like a denial, like it doesn't affect me now, it's way too late to get help, I can't be helped now, other people have it worse. So I'd invalidate my own feelings. I'd be like, other people have it worse than me, so why am I dwelling on it? Because ultimately I'm not the one that's gone through like the worst case scenario in the world. You are so valid in your feelings and how you've experienced whatever you've experienced and how you've dealt with it afterwards. There is no book on how to deal with mental health. There is no guide on what you should do after you've been through a traumatic event or traumatic time. So the most guide that I think you can get is from another person, and you will find a person eventually. If not, that might even be yourself. I feel like I tell people to try and get that shocked reaction, and a lot of people have said this makes sense, but you will tell people and they will like, oh my god, and you're just like completely neutral. You've kind of blocked it out of your mind in terms of it being like a traumatic event. You kind of desensitize to that topic of whatever you've been through. You desensitize to it, and then people are like, girl, people will be like, oh my god, you're strong. And it kind of does validate the fact that you've been through something quite traumatic, and it's quite comforting in a way to see someone be like, wow, okay, this girl's been through it. As messed up as that might sound, that's how it is. You can't make many links, but you will also deny links maybe. like saying that happened then doesn't affect my day-to-day life now. 9 times out of 10, your PTSD will involve links from that to links in your life now, as small as how you do your routine, how you process your own emotions, how you take other people's actions and feelings on board. Literally the simplest, like tiniest things that you wouldn't think consciously would be affected by something that happened however long ago. Especially if it was longer ago, it kind of feels like, why would I still be affected by it? But you can be. It can be like 20, 30 years and you can still be affected by it. It has no timeline. And the 5th stage I've put, which is my last stage, I haven't got to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm healed. Someone has helped me get to the point where I'm like, okay, there are links from then to now. Things still affect me and I'm still trying to process things and work out how I should react to certain things and how I should work around my emotions, how other people should affect me. You will find a person, whether that's yourself or someone else, or like a partner, a counsellor, that will help make those links for you, even if they start making the links, and you can use that as a start to heal and try and find more and think, okay, it all makes sense. Because the more it makes sense, the easier it is to heal. When things are all confusing and all over the place, it's going to be so hard to heal. Being in the unknown and being confused is a no-go. It's an absolute no-go. You start realizing your triggers if you haven't already. This stage I've realized what kind of words, what phrases, what places I go to, or types of people that will trigger an emotion. Even if it's not an emotion, you might feel like a freeze up in your body, you might feel like goosebumps, anything like physical. You might feel chest pain, headaches, anything that is like a sign of, okay, I feel a bit uneasy, I feel a bit uncomfortable. But your body will let you know, but ultimately it's only protecting you. It is a layer of protection that you put on yourself because you're like, I don't want to go through something again. So you will put that layer of protection mentally inside of you, going, that type of person makes me feel uneasy, that place makes me feel uneasy. It all makes sense. Trust me, you will find sense in what happens to you, and you'll find sense in how you took it and how it links to your life now. Just because you find links from then to now doesn't mean it defines you as a person. It doesn't mean it defines your personality. If anything, you've gone through something, it's made you so much stronger, and you're doing all of these things to beat it down and defeat it out of the way. You're stronger than you think. I promise you. This only happened to me a month ago, as in this feeling, but I got a thought in my head, I'm gonna get better one day. I'm going to be better at some point. I'd never thought, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna get better. I always thought, I'm never gonna be better. I'm never gonna be happy. I'm never gonna be content in my life and how I feel mentally. But a month or two ago, I thought, yeah, things are gonna get better. I don't know when, but things are gonna get better. I don't have a timeline for it at all, but I just know that things are not at their best right now, but they will be. It kind of motivates you a little bit to find those coping mechanisms that would help you mentally. The last thing I'll say on this kind of stage is that my mental health still fluctuates a lot. I am on medication. The last week, to be raw and honest, I felt the most down and numb I've ever felt in a long time, if not ever. It's defeating when you get to that point where you're like, okay, I'm gonna get better one day, and then you have a day where you're like, I'm really not good. But I promise you, your mental health will always fluctuate throughout your life. Because this day is so bad, I'm going to appreciate it so much more when I have a good day and I have a content day and a comfortable, chill, less worrisome and less paranoid day. The last stage of mental health that I would need to be at, not just acceptance, but content and happiness. I know I'm not recovered mentally. I know full well I've got work to do on myself, and it's gonna be a long journey. Just give it time. And I know that sounds stupid, but there are so many people with PTSD that won't go for coping mechanisms. And if you don't go for coping mechanisms, the best thing you can do is give it time. It's hard. There's no timeline, there's no guide. You don't need to be better for someone. You don't need to be better for anyone else but yourself. If you find that thing that motivates you to get better, that is incredible, but just know that the person you should be doing it most for is yourself. I really hope this helps someone. I will definitely do more videos on it because this is ultimately what I want to do for people on YouTube, is make someone feel more understood and less alone, and this topic is not spoken about enough. PTSD is a little bit more isolated and people don't tend to know the full ins and outs other than the flashbacks, the nightmares, but there is so much more to it mentally, to your brain. It's always kind of there for the rest of your life. It pops up here and there until you get to the point where it doesn't, but that also may not ever end. It lingers, but it gets better. I will upload again soon.